welcome to the Legend of Vox Machina watch party, everybody! Yay!
Yay!
I am your host, Mika Burton, and tonight we will be watching episodes 4 through 6 of the Legend of Vox Machina. But wait, there's more! I'm Billy Mays. I'm also joined tonight by a bunch of awesome people.
No, he's dead.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, R.I.P.
Oh, no!
Yeah.
No!
R.I.P.
What about Vince from ShamWow?
Abandon it. Abandon it.
Canceled?
Abandon it.
Oh,
Canceled?
you know what?
Abandon it.
Abandon it. You know what? Let's go to Liam O'Brien. Hi, Liam.
The matron comes for us all.
And we also have Sam Riegel.
Hi. I also sell products.
We have Travis Willingham.
Hi, I'm Travis. I can't talk right now.
And we also have the very wonderful Marisha Ray. Tell us about yourself. This is your first time on the watch party.
Tonight's episode of Is He Canceled or Is He Dead?
It's a great game.
I'm your host. I'm not your host, Marisha Ray. It's me. People know me.
Oh my God, we've gone so off the rails. We've gone so off the rails already.
I'm
good
vamping.
vamping.
Good man.
butter.
We also have very special guests today. First up, Alicia Chan, who's the episodic director of episodes 2, 5, and 8. Tell us a little bit about what an episodic director does for people who don't know.
Oh my goodness. Well, we basically just help guide the board artists to create the episodes in the board phase and work with these lovely people
Hey.
up at the top and just help tell your guys' amazing story with your characters.
That's
That's an important job.
Dope-ass fight scenes.
And also that, yes.
Come on.
And last but certainly, of course not least, we have the voice of Sir Kronos, Robbie Damon.
Oh, hello. Glad to be back in the house, baby. Glad to be here. Hi, guys.
That's the voice you did on the show, too.
That's Sir Kronos!
I don't think that's right.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's
Zany.
right. Yeah.
That zany Circonos.
That wild and crazy Sir Kronos. After this episode, we will be doing a Q&A with these lovely folks, and we will be sliding in a few questions from the chat too. So make sure to type your questions that you have. We'll have people looking at the chat. It's going to be a good time. Y'all ready? Are we ever? That's true.
Just push us down there.
All right, so let's pick up exactly where we left off with episode 4 of The Legend of Vox Machina, season 2. That is so many numbers. Those who walk away. All right, are you guys ready to answer some questions?
Heck yes,
Yes,
we are.
we're here
Right.
to do.
Well, very fittingly, first question is for Liam, as he's drinking water. That was on purpose, yep. So Vex's sudden death and subsequently becoming a champion for the Matron of Ravens was a pivotal moment for Vax in Campaign 1. What was it like reliving those moments?
I can't watch episode 3 without busting up. Still, I just can't do
In
it.
laughter?
Yeah, it's just you can't deny good comedy. It puts me right back to where we were on that day. And since then, when we play our game, what just happened?
There's raven feathers.
Other characters have died, right? And we've become more accustomed to that idea as we've role-played more together. But that time, it was the first real moment where we're like, this character is gonna go. So I feel like the stakes were like to 9,000 that night.
100%. We had character death up to that point, but they were saved by spells, and this was just instant death.
And it looked like it was gonna, we hadn't done the full ritual deal before. So when Vax made the deal, like when I spit that shit out that one night, I was really just saying like, well, Laura can't lose her character, so I'll lose mine, and that was the plan. And was amazed at Matt just spinning it around and shooting me in the face with it like a shotgun.
Well, I think too because we were anticipating going into her death saving throws, but because of the nature of the spell, it was like a necrotic,
Right.
insta death.
Right.
And there's that moment where Matt's like, way to drop you below 100
Yeah.
or below 0 hit points.
And
It's like,
Dawns on her.
yeah, it's like, no,
way
you're
to describe
just dead now.
And
Yeah.
Mary and Will are at the table. They're like,
Yeah.
well, fuck.
Oh, they were just sitting there watching this happen.
They were guests during that one. So they were like, oh, is this normal? And we're like, no!
Have a guest on the show, main character dies.
Yeah.
That's what always happens.
But unforgettable night, and we did it justice, man.
Right, Robbie?
Robbie's killed before.
For Sam and Travis,
Oh, hi.
the onlooker was a truly terrifying creature. So please walk us through the design process behind it, from its look to its angular tentacle attacks to the incredible, terrifying noise that it screeched. You mentioned War of the Worlds vibes, but what is the composition of the sound?
Oh man, well, in the previous 3, when they go to the Slayer's Take, and again when we were with in Vedmire's mansion, there were these trophies of monsters, and the Slayer's Take has all these heads of beasts that we really just told the design team to like just go for it, try a bunch of stuff. There's really no wrong answer, and so they would just come up with these crazy iterations of things. And we finally settled on, we wanted to have like a singular eye and maybe stalks or tentacles or things that are drifting and flowing from it. And there were, yeah.
Here's some options.
Different, all different vibes. There would be different movements associated with each one. And we talked about what it could maybe do and if the eye had powers. We also loved the double jaws of teeth.
Yeah.
It just made it horrifying.
The one on the right is kind of a fancy lad.
He is a
He's
fancy
like
lad.
Megamind.
I like his giant grin.
Emperor
He seems
eyeball.
very happy.
Yeah.
And you mocapped this creature too, right?
I did. I only mocapped the eyeball. They had to put balls on my eyeballs.
Oh, wow.
I just did this a lot.
Your arms were the tentacles, so you were just like. And then and the sound was all sound design. We didn't know what it sounded like.
I don't know what combination of sounds that is, but we'll go back and look. I don't know, 30% cheetah, 30% scraping not cheetah.
Yep, no cheetah.
Hyena, 30% scraping a fork on a Teflon pan. I don't know.
Like a growl to unsettle your
You
mouth.
know, cheetahs. That
Definitely
distinct sound they make.
One guy going,
One really disturbed dude.
Turtles in the act.
Is that what turtles sound like?
stretched in a long day.
Why would you know this?
You've seen that video, right?
What video?
Turtle making
turtle
love to a
Turtle
helmet or a
humping a
hat.
shoe?
To a croc? It was a croc,
A croc?
right?
Yeah, we'll fix
Why
it.
has
croc
everybody
shoe,
seen a
not a
turtle fucking a
crocodile.
shoe before?
Yeah.
Put your safe search on and go do turtle humping. You'll be just fine.
Brave turtle, get it.
Yep.
I'm so upset.
Sorry.
Question for everyone that doesn't have to do with turtles.
No promises.
What was it like for all of you to see the Calamity animation for the first time, and what did it take to bring that vision to life?
Oh man, so cool.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, going through like the list of gods, luckily we have like publications now that we could share with the board artists and with the designers to show them, Matt's sort of mythology and his deities and stuff like that. So after we sort of laid out all the gods and what the Calamity was, it's these design meetings are sometimes like history lessons or religion lessons. And Matt always is gracious with his time and jumps on and sort of talks through everybody who needs to know all the relevant pieces of information. And they just knocked it out of the park. It's really good. It helped me understand the Calamity more.
Yeah, it was cool. They went through different iterations of what the armor of the mortals on the ground waging war would look like. We had discussions about who would be featured in that big wide 3-shot, and then who it cuts to over Vax's shoulder, and it's just the beginning of getting to delve into the visual representation of those things, because they've lived in our minds, for so long, and so it's kind of just the start of that journey. It's why you can see a fair bit, but a lot is in silhouette because there's so much to be unveiled still.
And you want it to be like our heroes are going through these epic moments, so the Calamity has to one up that and be so much more grandiose.
It's gonna be good.
From Marisha.
Oh,
Yeah,
excuse
we're
me.
pivoting.
Oh shit.
What was it like to revisit Shaw's flirtation with Keelan?
Oh.
It was kind of cute.
He's so cute. Sorry. But he's fucking cute.
He's cute.
Because Keyleth had a little bit of a little infatuation with Kashaw, in the game. It was also before Vax really like made his move,
That's true.
and it kind of like
That's true. He was thinking it, but he wasn't saying it.
right. And I feel like it kind of kicked off you being like, well, oh shit, maybe if I don't do anything, people
lose
like
that girl.
yeah. So yeah, it was
No.
cute. It
He's
was
a
cute. I love
cutie.
it.
He's cutie and he has like cool powers and stuff. So
Yeah,
you know.
and I feel like we went back and forth too to include like the kiss before he walks off into the sunset, but it makes sense to keep it a little bit more flirtatious. And I do like even when Keyleth slips and he kind of catches her, and he's like, "Oh, lucky I was here." And it kind of mirrors that moment in episode 1 in season 1 where Keyleth slips and Vax catches her. So it's kind of has. It's cool. He's the cute bad boy. It's great.
When Keyleth slips and Shaw catches her, isn't Vax like brooding in the background?
I think it's more like puppy dog at that point. Like,
Aw.
oh, okay.
Noticing boys, noticing.
If only that was me. Oh. And a question for everyone. So that jump scare at the end. Why?
Scary.
For that reason.
Why?
For that reason. If I stalk reaction videos for anything, it's to watch people go like, ah! Knock their headphones off or whatever. It's the best.
Give me more jump scares.
That was a good jump scare.
God, does anybody remember that video where it's like you're looking at a highway and then all of a sudden the sky, it reminded me so much of that. It was like my first jump scare video that I've ever seen.
Classic internet trolling.
Classic internet troll.
We try to do on this show.
It's good shit.
All right, I think we have some questions from the chat if you guys are up for answering
Sure.
some of those.
Yeah.
We like
Awesome.
to chat.
For everyone, how did you guys decide what Vax would look like when he dons the Deathwalker's ward?
That's mostly Liam getting in there with the design team. They had a bunch of stuff to start with, but then you jumped in.
I said what I thought about it, and then team went away and came back with that winged beauty. I always the touch point I always had in my mind were the Dune suits, the still suits in Dune.
Yeah, that's right.
Being like clinging to the body. I've imagined the Deathwalker's ward just getting on and going like and clutching on all over, and just it probably has pee and poo tubes in there somewhere too, because it's so tight.
Because he didn't
Just
take
like
it off.
Just recycles that, right?
Yeah.
So canon.
Out-
He can drink his own pee? Is that right?
Yeah.
We didn't go
Do the
that
pee
far.
and
It goes so fast.
go
Somewhere?
to like a
How do you think it goes so fast?
Recycles your sweat and your water, you drink it. Yeah.
poo, Peter Parker.
I think you mean Peter Pooker. How dare you? I hate myself for that one. Another question for the crew.
Yes.
What was behind the decision to have Zahara unleash the eye monster on Vox Machina?
Well, yeah, I mean, Zara and Cash were much friendlier to our team in the original campaign, and we made them slightly antagonistic for many reasons, mostly because good stories have antagonists as well as protagonists, but also we wanted their eventual, maybe budding friendship to, be earned, not just something that was super easy. Everything in the show should be hard for our team. And to give Zara and Cash their own goals and stuff, and they wanted that armor, which is sort of true to their characters in the campaign too. And maybe they did some bad to try to get it, but maybe they learned their lesson at the end of this episode, and maybe the next time we see them, they won't be such dickheads.
a little a debt for a debt, right?
Yeah.
Him and the twins had a debt, and then Zara and Cash owed their own.
Yeah,
feel
by
like
unleashing a monster on them.
In the writer's room, one of the most common things I would always hear is like, how can we make this harder for them?
Yeah,
How can we
Interesting.
complicate this shit?
for
Raise
sure.
the stakes.
And also in RPG stuff, we go into a room, there's a monster. That's not connected to any sort of like character or story, so we wanted to make sure that it was connected to something character-wise.
That makes sense. We kind of touched on it before when we were talking about the Calamity and the style of it. Were there any specific clothing choices in terms of the style of the warriors? Is there some sort of era you guys were hearkening back to?
Good question.
Matt had a few notes, just like early civilization, some elements from what they would wear for armor or headpieces or helms, bracers, a lot of things that were like a lot of freedom of movement. There wasn't a lot of concern to like covering up, like the idea that warriors were faster than and that the weapons were more deadly. And then again, it's just the Titmouse design team coming in with all sorts of different looks. They pull from, all different centuries that we've had, and we're like, yes, yes, and yes.
I do remember Matt explaining though, like we don't want any of that stuff to look primitive because even though it's 1,000 years ago,
They had dope
technology,
shit.
technology
it's
was
super
more
dope shit.
advanced than now.
Yeah.
And so it should look classic without looking like primal or anything. So
We also had a few that looked very futuristic. They went like the other way. We're like, oh no, too much. So you bring it back to like a middle space.
Yeah, it's that reality that the Exandria that we're in now is technically post-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
And we're
we're in the Middle Ages.
we're recovering. Because back in the day, they were like, well, what if cities just fly? And
There goes the Dawn Father.
yeah,
Walking around.
I know, right?
I think we just
I never thought
Make
too
it
much
fine.
about the calamity and like Exandria as it is now, before now.
Yeah.
Huh.
Two-thirds
There's more of that. We'll get you.
two-thirds of the population was wiped off the face of the earth or something like that.
The face of the Exandria.
Wow. All right. I feel like that just changed a whole bunch of stuff, but in like a really cool way. God, the things that Matt Mercer thinks of. Fucking mad genius. Anyway, we have so many more questions to cover, but we do have to continue to move on as, I'm sure that you guys all want to watch the next episode. Again, don't go anywhere because after we watch this episode, we are doing another Q&A and answering more questions from the Twitch chat. So make sure you guys type in your questions and it will be aggregated and we will all answer them. So let's now jump into episode 5 of The Legend of Vox Machina, Pass Through Fire.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Well, we have a couple of questions for everybody, if you guys are cool with that.
Let's do it.
Ah.
All right, for Alicia, Sam, and Travis, we got to both see Zephyra. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong.
You nailed it.
And Pyra in this episode. What was it like designing both Ashari villages, and how did you ensure that they were distinctly separate but connected? That's a long question. I apologize.
That was a great fucking question.
Well, it was more people than just certainly more than just the three of us. It was multiple teams getting together. It went from everything from looking at the architecture of the caldera and how the housing and structure would work, and then thinking of Zephyr and where that location was, and did the clothing make sense in those two places? So it was something that was all done at the same time, which was really cool, right?
Look, we got some Pyra images. I remember Arthur, our director Arthur Loftus, we had lots of conversations because in the script it was just like, yeah, there's a rift, there's a caldera, just make it work. And then he was like, yeah, but like the village wouldn't be in the caldera. That's crazy. People they have to live there. So he was like, what if we do the village like along the bottom or along the ridges of the outside of the volcano? And we're like, yeah, I guess that makes more sense.
Well, I do like how there's structure inside as well. It feels like it's an important place that they're like capable of maintaining, even if they don't, like live there and go out to eat.
Yeah, you can see he did
Just
it a
no
little
stationary stores.
Yeah.
And Mercer even said, like, when the rift was first torn open, those places were obviously like ground zero, so they were just annihilated first.
Yeah, but Arthur always tries to make these places, like he gives so much thought into like if I were designing a city, where would I put the market and where would I put the ports and stuff like that. So it actually makes sense, not just as dumb things that we write in script.
You mean you wouldn't put the nursery in the volcano? What?
I guess not.
Doesn't make any sense.
Keep the babies warm.
That's true.
Incubator.
For Marisha,
Yes.
seeing as this is a very Keyleth-centric episode, from fighting fire Gilas to calling upon literally the fire within her and closing the rift, Keyleth was truly a badass in this episode. So what was it like to go on that journey with her and get in touch with Kiki's fiery side and show some, I'm so sorry.
Oh, you love your snark.
I'm so sorry. And also show off some of her like Sailor Moon anime-esque transformations.
Oh my god. I mean, I remember when the boards came back and I'm like, she has a magical girl transformation moment. I was so happy.
She moon prism powered
She
that bitch.
totally moon prism powered. Yeah, it's really great, and kind of to what we were getting at earlier, while this season is so much I mean, it's kind of simple in its like MacGuffin. Like we just got to go get more powerful, get badass weapons to beat the dragons. So finding like creative ways to do that and still maintain anchors from the campaign. So it was really great to, just kind of see that whole episode realized. And I feel like, because of course we've taken a lot of liberties and there's different, always things with an adaptation, but this one feels pretty spot on to like what we did in the campaign. So
Kind of like
pretty cool.
Liam was mentioning what it was like to relive Vex's death and the reanimation in the bargain. Was there something kind of reminiscent of reliving Keyleth's moments of coming of age?
For sure. I mean, it's very surreal as well on top of it. And I think also like the last game that we played of the campaign, we all bawled our eyes out because we were like, but we're gonna miss our friends. And then we kind of had to convince ourselves that like this isn't gonna be the last time that we see all these characters, and just because the campaign is done, it doesn't mean that their story is done or that their journey is done. So kind of seeing it again and kind of reliving it and walking through it again, but in a different medium, it's just lovely.
Oh. Speaking of reliving and a different medium, we have an animatic. Smooth transition of that really badass transition from bird to woman. That was directed by somebody pretty cool.
Animorphs.
I think we are queuing that up.
Maybe.
There it is.
It's okay. Get to your family. Thank you. Mother! Ira.
So cool.
So cool.
Come on.
That was really cool.
So good.
You guys do like when you're trying to consider animal like morphing. I mean, because I feel like that could get real awkward real quick in the boards if it's not done right. So like even like her spinning out of it, is that just kind of like an animation tactic?
Yeah, I think so. It's a little bit of a cheat, and also just like I feel like they do that a lot in anime where they do a lot of smears. So it's like yeah. So it's like you say, you don't have to have those awkward like animorph in between
Speak for a moment. Yeah, that's cool.
Is that a cloaca? Don't. Sorry. Don't look it up.
Don't look at me.
Speaking of horrifying creatures, Alicia, what went into designing the creatures from the Plane of Fire? From the fire within them that, Craven Edge couldn't quite sate itself on, to those terrifying screams.
Yeah, well, I think like in the early stages there were multiple designs for the Gilas, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think at one point we even were thinking of doing at least 2 or 3 different monsters attacking them.
Yep.
But I think for, animation's sake, it was easier to just stick with one since there were like 5 million of them flying everywhere. But yeah, and then I remember, specifically with the lava blood, that was to help also clock Grog's arc with his sword and everything, because it needs blood.
Yeah, it helped set up like the crystal in Thordak's chest and what these creatures would be running off of, having been born from this dimension. But ultimately, when we were doing the first couple of boards, I think you remember we had like a few creatures flying around, and the first note was like, oh, we need more. And they're like, then you get less. You get less variety and more of one of these.
All identical monsters now.
Yep. I think half the revisions were add 10 more monsters in this shot for every other shot.
It's so nice though, but it makes it feel like cohesive. It makes it feel like they're going up against this force that's all part of one thing instead of just a bunch of shit flying around.
And it
Yeah, I
raises
really
the
like.
stakes,
I really
too.
like the way it looks.
And seeing them constantly coming out of the portal is like, oh shit, this is just never ending.
Yeah.
Kicking an anthill.
A question for everyone. Lady Allura and Lady Kima were revealed to be alive and assisting Pyra, so why did you choose to fake their deaths in Iman and reveal it later?
Maybe they weren't faked. Maybe these are imposters.
Plot twist! twist.
They pull off their mask, and it's actually Thordak.
It's been Thordak the entire time.
It's Victor. He's like, ah!
I think that was just a function of in the first episode of the season, there's chaos and pandemonium, and we just kind of lost track of not as writers, but just as Vox Machina. You just lose people in the melee, and we feared the most, and we're hopeful that they were alive, but we wanted to sort of go back and explain like how they got out of the chaos. And also establish that Allura can, has some teleporty type magic, which will be helpful in future episodes for sure. But it was important to meet up with them again this season, and this seemed like a really cool place to do it.
Yeah, she's real strong, and I think actually when we got to episode 4 and we realized people had to be focusing energy on the planar rift, we were like, oh, instead of just making it Ashari, like what if this is where Allura and Kima show up? And then we went back to 201 and we were like, oh, we can have it look like they're getting crushed and we'll fool the audience and all that stuff. So when you're writing through these things, you frequently like leapfrog back and change things as you go, which is really cool. Fun.
Very cool. So it is no secret that Marisha's love for Avatar: The Last Airbender had a smidgy of an influence on the creation of Keyleth. So what was it like weaving the homages to the series via the Ashari and the Aramente, and especially like Korra was your mom?
I know. No, I think it is important because at no point are we trying to claim, or at least I'm not, that I'm the people bending the elements is the first time we've seen this.
You invented it, and then they went back and did it before.
Time travel.
Whoa.
Yes.
Oh my God, basically time travel. I'll call Brian and Michael, let them know. I just think it's, obviously,
Hot pants.
Exandria, it's different, it's not the same, but there are ties and connective tissues, and I think just kind of wanting to pay respects. I hope it does come across as an homage, because it is very much an homage. Yeah,
and getting Janet Varney to do the voice was just
cherry
extra
on top.
icing on the Korra cake.
it's so great.
I also think it's perfect that the voice of Korra was in the Lesbians Aren't Dead episode, and it's just kind of tying in the lady love all together. See, I got you.
Yeah.
And the red gay and the blue gay, like in Korra. That's a classic.
Yeah.
Sure. You always have the red, black gay and the blue gay. Think about it. Tell me I'm wrong.
I can't.
You can't.
Nope.
I will
true.
not disagree.
Nope.
It is true. In anime history, that is the classic pairing.
Red gay and the blue gay.
The red gay and the blue gay.
Find it.
People will know I'm right. Oh, yeah, and as somebody is typing in right now, Sapphire and Garnet and Steven Universe, you got your red gay, you got your blue gay. Yep, it's just a thing.
This is why we have you here, Mika.
You're so wise.
I know a lot about anime gays, you guys. Anyway, question for Robbie.
Awesome gay segue. I'm in. Let's do it.
What was it like for you to play Serkanos, the leader of the Fire Ashari, and where did you find inspiration for his voice? Not to say that's not like your voice.
It's not quite like my voice. These guys called me into studio and then said, "This is the guy," and showed me a nice picture. And I said, "What does he sound like?" And they go, "I don't know, something like this." And then I did the thing. I that is the kind of magic that it really was.
Voice acting 101
I
right
had
here.
no idea who this character was, and it was all guided by. Believe both of you were in the studio that day.
Oh, there he is. There's
Yeah. You did have a bit of art, didn't you? I think we had some rough sketched out.
This picture, for all we know.
Yeah, so we made some choices. You look at that and you go, okay, stern, thick, and then you gave me some of his backstory about what he was. So I know he wasn't going to be like, "Hi, welcome to the Fire Ashari," and I think we,
Tyson voice?
I think we could have been sweet, maybe.
Yeah.
I like the blue one with the glowing
Gotta unlock your
tattoos.
power with Keyleth.
An actor who can knock it out of the park on a cold read.
Yeah. Because sometimes you go in and it'll be like a description and a name, but no art, and that's fine. You can zero in on it still, but sometimes that picture is like all you need. Right?
Well, and you always lean on the production team, and in which case that's you guys always. And I just talked about this the other day. Is like if you go in with too many preconceived notions about what you want to do on anything, you're not able to be flexible on the day of.
Yeah.
And I think that we started at a place and ended up at a place, and that's where we were. And I think once we all realized we were happy with it, then you just go, okay, this is the dude.
Yeah.
And then you try to fill in the moments. Yeah, it was a very classic day at the office, just with really talented people that I trust that know the material more than anybody ever could, even if you were just a producer. So many times the producers aren't the creators.
Right.
So yeah.
Well, as a testament to your talent and your range, I saw many people talking about on Twitter that they were like, "Wait, that was Robbie? I couldn't clock that."
Yeah, I didn't know you could go that deep.
Thanks.
Honestly.
I got some stuff in there, but no, I appreciate it.
Yeah, the time on target for that voice was so fast. Like Robbie's like, "Hey guys, how we doing?" What does he sound like? He's like, "I'm gonna drop it down."
Well, no, that's the biggest inadvertent compliment you can give any voice actor. Is like, I didn't know that was you. And you go, okay, good. Yeah.
But I do love that at the same time, if you zero in knowing that it's you, you
Sure.
hear the hints of Robbie on there, and that's why you're like, "That's our guy." He knows what's up.
You can't avoid it. We're always working with the instrument that we have, but if you work with other people who are, they'll push you the right direction. You got to trust. Yeah.
Did a great job.
Oh, thanks.
Winds watch you, Keyleth.
You know what? I take it back. You should have done that.
You're a fiery fairy now.
Is it too late to re-record?
Oh no.
Liam,
Yes.
Vax was at first a little hesitant to go with Keyleth to Pyra, then had a front row seat to her entering the plane of fire.
Hesitant. That's a word for
Yeah,
it.
that's a very gentle word for how dare you want to save your people. What was it like for him to see her safely return, especially having so recently nearly lost his sister?
Well, I think he's in the show here. He's got his head too far up his ass after days ago going through everything they went through in the tomb, so he's not thinking straight. But Keyleth is so fucking amazing that when you have a front row seat, it knocks the sense back in you.
It's true though. He's gone through a lot in the last 2 days. Like,
Yeah.
He saw his sister die, and then he made a pact with the goddess of death, which he doesn't really understand.
She didn't say too much.
He's seeing visions.
Dead people left and right.
He's seeing visions in the flames. He saw this symbol, building, object thing in front of him. He doesn't know what that is. He's just like, let's just go to the mission.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just want to do the one thing that I know.
You know, when you put it like that, we should give Vax a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's having a day. He's having a week.
He's having a good 48 hours.
Cash push in on his girl.
Oh my God.
That was
That was the worst part.
the last 2 days. It's all he can think about.
But yeah.
Just the calamity, people dying.
Oh man.
We have a couple questions from chat, which is exciting.
Shot.
Marisha, did you have any influence on the design for the fire elemental? And I'm going to add my own question. Was it because of you that it was so cheeked up?
So thick.
Just so thick, like thicker than a Snicker.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I'm trying to remember how all those conversations went.
She is a beefcake.
I mean, look at that. I also
Same
like
as
that the
before.
flames arc around the ass cheeks.
The Titmouse design team came back with
Yeah.
a myriad of choices, and they were all over the spectrum. Some were very blocky. Some had a much more lithe, more feminine figure. They gave us a whole range of things to play with, and man, we just zeroed in on something that was powerful but still read as Keyleth, and the antlers were, a must. Plus, it just has to be strong. Like,
Yeah.
Not skipping leg day, that elemental.
No, had to be
tons,
strong.
no problem.
Had to be, and also like still reminiscent of Keyleth. Didn't want it to be like super ephemeral and
Car wash
Shapeless.
puppet.
Yeah.
yeah.
The balloons up front. Nope.
But yeah, once again, I mean, Phil is just so good. The whole design team is just so good. So it's super easy when they're just like platter of amazing choices, and you're
Yeah.
We talked a
Yeah.
lot about the height, though, too. Like,
Yeah.
usually we use Grog as like a baseline of like, is this creature bigger than Grog? Same as Grog? You know, and this one's bigger.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, beefy.
Very
Beefy elemental.
Alicia, the environments and settings were so stunning. Were there any real-world locations that the team drew inspiration from to create such a fantastical environment?
Oh, that's a good question. I usually come for the directors, we just get the designs by the time we get the episode. So I'm not as privy to like the background stuff with where Arthur and them get their references and stuff. But I do remember for Pyra specifically, they were very specific with telling us like make sure that the buildings feel like they're part of the volcano. Like keep them in the environment and make it feel like it's all very natural and flowing together. And of course, don't put it up by the volcano.
Totally.
I love that that's the important note. Please stop putting the buildings in the lava.
And they had lots of references where like structures have been carved out of the rock. And again, in addition to seeing like elemental types to choose from, Arthur's also bringing like, you know, almost inspiration boards where he's pulled from different calderas and geographical locations and design meetings, which happen sometimes once, sometimes twice a week. Those are like our favorite mornings because it's just an hour of staring at stuff and be like, this is the best ever.
It's really cool.
It's like a real-life Pinterest board.
It is.
Yeah, that's it.
For everyone, and I think this is the most important question tonight. How does Vax pee? That's from chat.
We covered that already.
Chat, right?
That's from chat. It
Chat
says right
user
here.
Mika
From chat.
Do
1099.
the pee hoses and the poo hoses connect?
They're microscopic. They're about 200 down the back of the legs, and they eject at high velocity, which is where the speed comes from.
God.
That
I think
makes
we saw
so
that
much
yellow
sense.
outline around
Yeah.
the ridges of the armor.
Yeah, that's pee.
That's not the gold of fate. It's something else.
That's just pee at high speed.
Yeah.
I think your kidneys
Wow.
have a problem.
When you first saw him in that episode, it was all lit up gold, but then it faded away. It's because
Pee was gone.
it expelled.
Threads of fate are urine?
So every time the suit activates, that you piss on yourself?
Emptying out. It's got to refill before
You heard it
can
here
run
first.
again.
That's canon, baby.
I mean, look, when you really think about it, that makes so much sense. How is he so fast? Piss jets.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
We're sorry.
Brings a new meaning to gotta go fast. It really does. Anyway, it's we have another episode to go. I'm so sorry to everyone that there's a whole nother part to this. Are you guys ready for our final episode?
Yes!
That was so enthusiastic. So let's dive into the 6th episode of The Legend of Vox Machina Season 2, Into Rhymecleft. Anyway, let's ask some questions.
Yeah.
Question for everyone. The location of
Kamaljior.
Kamaljiori's hideout changed from the Frostweald to Rhymecleft, as did Cam's trial and even his ultimate fate. Tell us about how those changes came about and what went into designing him and his new home.
Oh my God, there's a lot of questions.
The first part of it was a geographical problem because we had jumped from Tal'Dorei over to Vasselheim, so we had ended up on another continent. And
Continent of Asilra?
that's
Is that right?
Okay. And the Frostweald was back in Tal'Dorei, and so we didn't want to jump and then have to jump back and then jump again. So we just stayed over on that continent, and Rhymecleft was a creation to sort of satisfy that. It had the same sort of elements
There it is.
as the Frostweald, but was new for the show.
Yeah, Matt has been very generous and creative when we have issues like this where we're like, oh, we need to do this story beat, but we're on the wrong continent. And we'll be like, Matt, can we just move the Frostweald here? And he's like, no! But I can invent something new that can be part of, the map, uncharted territory that you guys haven't seen yet. And so he helps come up with these new locations and stuff that make it easier to tell this story.
And in the design of the interior of this cave are the same sort of elements you saw with Oseses, where she moves through and the columns start to light up. And as you can see, we had some early attempts and brainstorming sessions at puzzles or riddles or things that would be a visual representation of trying to satisfy the Sphinx, but
Oh, I know that one. You pick the mountain up and you move it around. I know that one. It makes sense.
We had some really cool ideas, but ultimately, we hit a point with the writing where we're like, none of these are gonna be awesome, and so why do something that's not awesome? I guess we're just not. I'm not a puzzle maker. I don't know.
Making riddles that no one has heard before and making them something that people will talk about or surprise, it's tough, you know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, you had the idea, we're like, what if we wound him a different way?
Yeah.
I was sitting on the couch in my living room looking up at the ceiling, and you said, what if he sings a love power ballad and breaks his heart? And I was like, I need it. I need to know what that sounds like. And you delivered.
It's funny because when I was watching it for the first time and none of the physical wounds happened, I was like, oh, emotional wound. But I thought it was going to be like him showing Cammy like a vision of Osisa fucking someone else.
Oh, wow.
Like that's what I thought. That's where my brain went. Especially because he made the quip earlier of "Don't worry, she's not with anybody else," and I thought, well, he can make duplicates of himself, so maybe he's gonna make a duplicate
God.
of Osisa fucking another Sphinx.
Chaotic evil over there.
I was like, that would wound him emotionally. He'd probably cry.
And all of us.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah, like he pulls out his phone and he's like,
Yeah, and he's
look
like,
at this.
look what happened. I caught her.
No, so can I ask, because it was the idea was there in the writers' room, and then you and the amazing Peter Habib just get to work, and like, how does that even start?
I mean, Peter Habib, my brother-in-law, the songwriter of these Scanlan jams, is a pop music machine.
Yeah.
And he came up with the melody of this song, and it's like he just sent me a demo of the melody only, and I was like, oh my God, it's so good. And then we worked on the lyrics together. But this one was Peter. I mean, he came up with it, and it's just so good. I'm only happy that I was able to get through it singing, because it's also really hard to sing. And Alana did a great job too, singing on it. The woman who played the first Sphinx. Yeah, it was awesome. It was
The visuals
really
were
fun.
gorgeous too.
Yeah.
It was like a pretty little light show.
Need more songs. Can we get more scales?
More songs.
Okay, I think there's one in the next batch coming up too. There's a song or two.
No,
couple
it could be.
songs. Yeah.
For Sam, Travis, and Alicia, Cammy had an incredible design that complemented his mate Osisa. What was the inspiration behind the designs for these two sphinxes?
Oh man, that was fun. Because we didn't want the sphinxes to be identical. There was obviously, his and her designs, and we took the cat part of it, of the sphinx design, into account, and so it was nice making Osisa lithe and then making Cammy more of this like stronger, lion build. But the visual representations are still there in the wings and the crest and the helm and of course the stone feature that kind of outlines his musculature. We went through a lot of different versions of whether it was energy or stone or metal. Metal, I think, was where it started, and this feels like it represents that old as time.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about this a little last time, but like CG fur is really hard to do,
Yeah.
so we had to make them smooth somehow. They're smooth down there.
Oh boy.
Well, not really, because we know Osisa fucked someone else.
Between the two of you, what is happening right now?
Why do you keep bringing me back? You know I'm influenced by
We
Sam.
almost could have gone out on a high note. Almost.
I don't like it here.
Oh man. Okay.
Barbie dolls.
You know when you were a kid, you just smashed your Barbie dolls together? Anyway.
Yep.
Liam and Barisha.
Yes.
Vax and Keyleth had been growing closer again after their own respective level ups. They even got complimentary outfit upgrades. Oh, the happy couple went shopping. So what has it been like exploring their relationship in the context of the show?
Oh boy. Well, Mersh is my best friend, and we've become the best of friends over a decade, and so getting to go on this roller coaster is
It's fun.
it's awesome.
And it's still very fun. Like the Vax and Keyleth still fuck it up. Vax and Keyleth relationship versus the Vex and Percy relationship, and having that duality. But even like the stuff in the booth that we've been able to do, it's like it's juicy. It's nice. It's fun.
It's been very slow burn, like Vax handing Keyleth the staff, Percy giving Vex his coat, That was pretty cute and chivalrous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Making people wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll
Jim
be
and Pam.
the Jim and Pam.
Yeah.
Aw, but not that long, right?
I'm not gonna
That
say
was so
anything.
long. That was so long.
You don't know.
Ride a
Alicia,
roller coaster.
Yes.
you touched on it a little bit while we were watching the episode, but for the folks that may have missed it, this episode featured a badass kaiju battle between Cammy Cam and Umbrasyl in the Sphinx's lair. So what goes into directing that kind of action scene in such an itty-bitty living space?
Well, for this episode, it was directed by Eugene Lee, and that scene, or that sequence, was boarded by Casey Kuo. And I think she told me this was actually her first full third act board that she got to do. I know, and she freaking crushed it. But they were telling me that basically what comes first for them with that sequence was the story. Because it's such a, it's a big battle in such a tiny space, it's easy to like get lost in trying to figure out the choreography of it, But for them, the easiest step was just, okay, let's stick with the story. Like, what are the goals? And it was, basically keep away with Mythcarver.
Right.
So I think that helped keep them on track. And then that, it kind of just flows naturally from there. Once you get the story points down, then you're like, oh, okay, so now I can visualize like how the choreography is going to go to keep Mythcarver away and who's going to fight who. And I think the other big point for that scene was it was mainly a fight between the two, mythical beings. Like, that's what we wanted to focus on the most. And then I remember Casey was telling me that she wanted it to feel like that battle was beyond Vox Machina in that moment, Like, it was between these two mythical beasts, and they're trying to help, but, like, ultimately, they're so tiny in the tiny space.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, she crushed it, but
Yeah, that's
she
really good.
just tried to keep that anxiety up for the viewers and stuff, and she was telling me that her whole thought process for that sequence was, I just want everyone to be clenching their butt.
Absolute success. A kind of follow-up to that I was wondering is, how do you go about creating these powers of mythical beings that don't exist? Like, where did the shield for the Sphinx come from, or its powers, and Umbrasyl's way of fighting back? Because you have to come up with that out of thin air, essentially.
I think, usually you guys tell us, like, if they have pre-existing powers and stuff, and then sometimes we can pitch in the room with you, like, oh, could they do, like, for example, like a shield, or like, can we kind of adapt stuff and change it to fit the setting better?
Yeah, we had sort of like loosely said that the Sphinx is going to have sort of like force powers, shield and blasts, but we didn't really know what that meant. And like the idea of having like a physical sort of thing apparate in front of him with designs on it that he could use to sort of crush and push back, that was the board team, and it was super cool to be able to visualize it. And Umbrasyl, like, we've seen some of his powers coming up to this point, but I guess we haven't seen him flex so hard. So they pitch all kinds of great stuff, and most of the time we're like, yeah, that's, if you can draw that, yes, please do that.
And they get the nitty gritty in there. Like we had talked about the force field powers of the Sphinxes, because they are the chosen of the knowing mistress, and they are also protecting her knowledge because she's in exile. So we're setting up like deific lore. And then also in the force field, there are those circular markings that are on the hindquarters of Osisa, which are also on the columns and in the exterior walls of Vasselheim, because they've been there since the founding of the first city. So there's a reason behind all those little touches. They just gobble it up and incorporate it. It's
I
great.
crave a coffee table book with all of these details.
That would be awesome.
for every episode.
Yep.
That would be amazing. For Travis, Grog's worst fears about Craven Edge and hurting his friends came true when he stabbed Pike, his best buddy. So what was it like having Grog experience this pain both in dream form and in real life via his attack on Pike? And how many times did you have to scream in the VO booth?
I scream a lot, but I kind of have a throat made of Teflon. Like at this point, yeah.
Why is it called the Friendship Pond?
No, that's right, friendship pond. I'm like,
Oh no. Yeah, I mean, also the imagery adds so much to the recording. Like we'll do obviously a full record blind, right, just off the script, and you're using your own visualization, and fight excerpts are like a grab bag of stuff. But when a picture comes back in, you can fine tune them into: is he jumping? Is he squatting? Is he leaping? Is he arcing down? Is he getting hit in the chest, or is he getting hit in the extremities? Chest is deeper, arms is a little bit higher usually. But when you look down, you see Pike like that, and I can hear Ashley doing her like pained, dying reactions. Whether you've heard her in The Last of Us or in this show, I mean, her pain excerpts are heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So it's almost just working with what's right in front of you, and you hear your friend calling out to you, and it just destroys you. So it doesn't take much to get it there, but it's one of the worst parts of it, and it's going to be interesting to see where it goes from here.
Oh. That's you as an actor, but as a creator, you love inflicting pain.
I fucking love
You
it.
love it.
It's the best shit. I love it when it goes wrong.
Oh my God. If anyone wanted to know how the season is gonna go in the rest of the show, Travis has just explained it right there. He loves when things go wrong.
It's tasty.
We have some questions for chat if
Yeah.
everyone wants to answer some of those. Yep. Another incredibly important question, almost more important than the piss question. For everyone, when are we gonna get a Grog and Craven Edge buddy cop spinoff? We talked about it in the last talk through. We're talking about it now. It is a reoccurring theme, clearly.
I mean,
It's
they've
gotta
already
happen.
got the back-to-back pose down.
Right?
So
Just put some sunglasses on the sword and we're all good.
WandaVision with Grog and Craven Edge? Okay.
Sam, I know you got a theme song brewing in your mind right now.
Oh, yeah, yep. I sure do. It's going to have a lot of slap bass in it.
It's Grog and Craven Edge.
Coming next year on Craven the Edge.
Craven.
Tech.
It writes itself. But on a more actual serious question, Sam, what is it like seeing a more serious side of Scanlan this episode?
I'm so excited to unveil Scanlan 2.0. He's a bit of a one-note dude through much of the first season, but now we get to see like there might be more to him than meets the eye. He's a transformer. No, there's something under there. There's some depth, and we get like the hint of it. It's interesting in this episode, like he starts to get like real, a little bit more honest and vulnerable. But weirdly, or not weirdly, he doesn't get like that with anyone in the group. He just is sort of confessing these things to this random stranger, probably because he doesn't feel comfortable enough sharing with the group or insecure or whatever. And so they don't even know what's going on in his head. They'll have to sort of tease that out of him as we go.
I mean, totally removed, unbiased, third-party, like stranger conversations are the best.
No, it's
sometimes
totally true.
To like, because
Yeah.
you're not dumping any of that on your friends.
There's no repercussions
There's no
for them trying to
context
make you
holding the conversation
fix
back.
yourself when you know you're broken.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Not that we're broken.
No, not that
No,
we're broken.
no,
No.
we're all great.
But if you talk to a stranger in a bar, they'll never have to tell you to get your shit together.
Yeah.
You know?
True.
Yeah. And now the Sphinx is dead, so.
The Sphinx is dead?
I mean, the Sphinx is taking a
You
real
told me
long
he lived
nap.
in a farm
no,
upstate.
He's in a farm. And there's no cell service on the farm, which is why he can't talk
I bet
to
he's
Scanlan.
super happy.
He's
right
so
now.
happy, yeah, disconnected.
He's running around everywhere.
Yoga every morning. Yeah.
That wily Sphinx.
Hey, Travis.
Hey.
Do you think that Grog would have won if they didn't have to leave?
Oh, 100%. He had him on the ropes.
Was he really on the ropes?
Yeah, and I mean, my man Grog was not bleeding himself. He was wearing dragon's blood. I mean, all of his organs were a fine minced meat on the inside from slamming into walls and stuff like that. But I don't know. I think it would have been taken down to the wire. But Craven Edge might have been just like cordyceps fungus puppeting Grog.
Oh God! It all comes back to The Last of Us.
It does.
Robbie.
Oh.
What was it like seeing this episode for the first time?
It was lovely. I was invested in. I wasn't thinking about any of you guys. No, just kidding. No, it's really fun. I purposefully didn't watch these because I wanted to have a reaction with you guys, and it sucked me in. I think it has the whole time though. It's really enjoyable. I'm precious with the time media that I watch, because I feel like my time is precious these days. 100%. So it's really been enjoyable watching this stuff, and it's super high quality. It sucks you in. It's easy to watch. I had a great time. It's so fun.
There's a reason it's certified fresh.
Oh.
I'm so sorry for who I've become.
No.
This is who you are.
Partially our fault.
I was about to say, I
feel
blame all of you. Yeah. I was such an innocent small being before I joined this crew, and then now I'm just a fuck boy in sweatpants,
And
This
a
is
blue
what I
gay
become.
and a red gay at the same time.
I'm a purple gay. I'm wearing purple. Oh my God, it's all coming together.
It's true.
Alicia,
Yes.
does Titmouse have a D&D game? And if not, will you DM their first game?
Wait, who's asking?
Chat.
Wait, they asked if I would DM their first
No,
game?
I asked the DM part, but they asked if you have a D&D game.
Kill all your friends. It'll be great. I mean, lift them up. and
Make them feel good about themselves.
Yeah. I know, some crews do have just little campaigns that they're doing. I think Arthur's part of one actually. Yeah, but I think our crew should definitely.
Have you played?
I have. I played a few. I'm not good, but
You're not good.
it's fun.
What,
Way to be bad. There's no one's bad
do
at
you play as?
Good.
Are you a melee type fighter, or are you a magic wielder?
I think it's been so long, but the last one I played, I was a mage, and I think I had a little hedgehog, familiar.
Cute.
And then my DM made it so that we switched bodies. So then I was in my little hedgehog.
You're Sonic.
It was great. Yeah.
Did you go fast? That's the most important part.
Amazing.
Aw. Honestly, if you said no, I was going to say, clear the table. We're starting a one-shot right now.
Yeah, 10 p.m. Let's go.
Let's go. That's when all the best D&D games are.
I mean,
Well, sadly, that does it for tonight's watch party. The iPad has been clicked off. But
Are there more episodes?
no, not right now, but make sure to join us again next Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m. Pacific to watch the next 3 episodes of The Legend of Vox Machina aside Travis, Sam, Taliesin, Laura, Ashley, and special guests Arthur Loftus, Young Heller, and Troy Baker. Will we make more The Last of Us jokes? Probably. Good night, critters.
good night.